Okay.
Okay. So let me know once you're able to see it.
Yeah, it's visible.
It's visible. Okay, good. So today we are starting C++, right? So C++, it's actually in OOPS language.
Hmm.
Any idea what I mean by saying OOPS language?
It's object-oriented programming.
Okay, object-oriented programming. So that's actually a full form, right? So what does it mean by object-oriented programming?
Hmm. Yeah, C++
Any idea you
allows
can
that
tell me?
encapsulation.
These are actually properties of
Yeah, it
object-oriented
allows.
language. Yeah, these are actually properties. So what does exactly mean by object-oriented programming? So properties we will tell, I mean, we will
But in
discuss
C++,
later.
yeah, everything is dependent on the object.
Okay.
We will. It's in class.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
data and the methods.
These, whatever
The
you are
methods
telling,
acting
right?
on.
So it's actually properties of object-oriented language. So I'm just asking in rough words, I mean, straightforward words, what is object-oriented programming? So till now in C, we have seen structured programming, right?
Hmm.
Correct.
Hmm.
What is the difference between structured programming and object-oriented approach? You know classes, you know how we are going to use the methods and everything, right? So any idea, just rough idea I want. I just want an exact definition, just rough idea I want. You can make any guess.
I guess like.
Any guess. It's wrong or right, doesn't matter.
Okay. So it's the mainly data.
Okay, let me explain. So structured programming, right? You have seen, I mean, in C language, we are defining main function, right? So inside this main function, I can write or initialize my code anywhere. I can write simply integer A, then I can write some code over here, right? X, Y, Z, some code. Then I can go to line B, and I can say integer B, and I can write some code. So let's say we have around 4,000, 5,000, or 10,000 line of code. So at that time when we read this code, right? So it would be much more complicated. Sushma, I'm getting a lot of background noise from your side.
Huh? Sorry?
I'm getting a lot of background noise from your side.
Background noise.
Yeah,
So, yeah. The fan is 1 minute.
yeah.
Then.
Now it's okay. Yeah, now it's okay.
Hello?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm telling you, right? So in C language, simply we are writing main function, and inside that we are declaring anywhere, we are writing our code anywhere, we are calling any function anywhere, right? So let's say we have around 10,000 line of code. So in that I'm declaring the particular variables at different locations. I'm calling different function, different locations, right? So when we read this code, 10,000 line of code, when we somebody asks us to maintain it, right? So it's very hard to locate the thing. Correct?
Okay.
Because this is not exactly in proper format, right? 10,000 lines of code, and anywhere you're writing the code and anything. So because C is not restricting you because of that, right? So you can write the code. Even we
Mm.
follow standards in C language, we are declaring at top all the integers and everything. But at some point of time, it will create complexity when you're writing a huge line of code, right? So just to
Okay.
simplify it, then there's another concept C++ developed, which is nothing but OOPS concept. When we are saying C++,
Mm.
so as I mentioned, it's an increment operator, right? Increment
Mm.
operator plus plus, right? So what does it mean? C is equals to C plus 1. So we have all the features of C language plus one additional features of OOPS, object-oriented concept. So whatever we
Okay.
till now we have read or we have understood in the last 8 to 10 days, so that will get repeated in this thing.
Okay.
Got the point?
Yeah, yeah, got it.
Yeah, right? So when I'm saying C is equals to C plus 1, so it will contain all the features of C plus one additional feature of object-oriented concept, right? That means object-oriented
Mm.
concept, whenever somebody says, then first thing should come in your mind is classes,
Mm.
correct? So class is similar
Correct.
to
No, correct.
structure that we have discussed, right? So whatever we have seen in C language structures, but it's almost same we have in classes. But there are some privacy things which we are provided in classes more focused on that, right? Because of
Okay.
privacy, we are much more focused on classes. We have more things, we have more functional, and yeah. So everything is not accessed directly from outside, right? So let's say if you're going to any bank, right? So, but till then you open any account, you're not authorized to check everything, right?
Okay.
If I'm going to any bank, I can go directly there, right? I can visit Windows and everything. But if I want to access anything, if I want to get the facility, the first thing it should be, I need to create an account in that bank. Then only I will get the access of locker room and other private thing, right? So you can
Yeah,
assume a
correct.
bank as class, right? And all the bank
Okay.
members, admin, manager, everything, these are all public members who will interact with you, right? And locker room and other facility which are very specific, very highly secured things that should be only accessible by bank people. So if you're going to any locker, right? So bank people, I mean bank admin should go with you, correct? So whenever you're operating any
Yeah,
locker,
correct.
so some person from bank should go with you. That means this person got
Okay.
access and you are contacting that person,
Okay.
right? Similarly, when we're accessing any private members in class, we need to just consult any function. I mean, functions, public functions, we need to access it through, right? Public functions within class have access to private members. So only class members have access throughout the class. So we need to access only public
Okay.
members who are interacting with us, right? Then public member will get access to
Okay.
private members, right? So that's the security concept we
Yeah,
have in
yeah.
classes. So directly we cannot interact because in structure everything is public, right? So directly from main function you can assign the value, you can create reference variable and everything, right? So that is a straightforward concept. But when we are going to classes, then we have some restriction. We can say these things are private and these things are public. Only public we can deal directly, and from public we can deal with private functions.
Okay.
Correct? So this is the basic concept of
Correct.
object-oriented thing. So when we are saying classes, right? So the main concept we have is class methods. So whatever function or whatever code you write, it should be inside a function,
Classes.
right? So everything, let's say if you're going to any bank, if you want to open an account, right? For opening an account, I will create a function, right? For depositing, I will
Okay.
create another function, right? For withdrawing, I will create different function. For closing the account, I will create a different function. So every task is defined within a function. So let's say in future, somebody will ask you to make some changes in withdrawal process. So you don't have to look whole code. You will directly go to withdraw function and make the changes over there. You got the
Yes,
concept
correct.
now?
Yeah, got it.
Right. So instead of reading 10,000 line of code where we have written this thing, right, it will be very complicated in C. So when we are saying C++, so they simply will go to that method, withdrawal method, and we will make the changes over there. Or let's say we are facing some issue in
Okay.
withdrawal process or savings process, then directly we'll go to savings function and we will check what is the issue over there. So maintenance will be much easier as compared to this thing. So just for maintenance point of
Okay.
view, just for better security point of view, we are just opting out object-oriented programming language. Right?
Okay.
This is it. Any question you have in this till now?
No questions.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So now we have properties of OOPS. So now you were saying something on encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, right? Can you explain one by one?
Yeah. Yeah. Encapsulation is like we bind data and the methods acting on that into one.
Okay.
That hiding the data is hiding the details, and we just
Yeah, just now we have seen the example of bank, right? That is similar to
yeah,
encapsulation.
yeah,
So what we
yeah,
are trying to do is
yeah.
we are binding the data as well as method within a class,
And
right?
that's on the
Correct.
yeah.
So whenever we
Yeah.
want to access anything, then we need to just get the access, or we need to get an object for this class to access it, right? So it's not directly accessible like a structure outside. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the main
Okay.
thing we call as encapsulation.
Encapsulation.
Yeah, encapsulation. This is the most important property of object-oriented language. Right. The second one is polymorphism.
Polymorphism.
So any idea what we mean by polymorphism? Okay, I will give you one
This
hint.
polymorphism.
So polymorphism. So I'm breaking this word. Poly and morphism. So when
Morphism.
I'm saying poly
Is it
means
in
many. Correct?
Single method, and we can have different
Different
definition for that method.
single method we have.
Different definitions of that method.
Yeah, that can be. That can.
That we are based.
Yeah, this is function overloading concept that you are telling. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Yeah, that is good.
So
That is good. This is a form of polymorphism only. You're saying correctly. Yeah.
Mm.
Right. So poly means many, and morphism means many forms. Correct.
Yeah.
So you can say morph means form simply. So we have many forms, right? That means, right? So as you said, function overloading, right? That term we call as function overloading. This is actually polymorphism only. That's correct, right? When we are saying function overload.
But in
Sorry. Yeah.
In C++, the same class we can have in the base class and then
Correct. So that
in the
property,
derived
when you are
class.
saying it's actually inheritance. Correct. That will go. This is third property, right? We will discuss it. Right. So function overloading is correct. What do you mean by function overloading, right? Let's say we have function void func, right? In this, I'm passing integer a, right? I'm doing some processing. Now again, I'm using same function name, and instead I'm passing character c.
Character.
Now, if you see, function name is same, right? So actually, it should give compilation error, but it will not because parentheses are parameters structures are different. Correct? This is integer a. Data type is different, and this data type is different. Then how we can call? We'll simply write func, and if we pass 1, then it's an integer value, right? So it will call this one. If we pass func, and I will write capital A or small a, then what it will do? It will call this function and will execute this thing. So based on data type, whatever we are passing, it will call the different functions. This we call as function overloading. Correct? So this is an example of polymorphism. Poly means many forms. So same thing can have many forms. Correct. So similarly, if you go to stack, I told you to create one stack program, right? So stack program, right? Remember we have LIFO concept, last in first out. Right? So let's say we are defining two functions, push and pop, right? Push for pushing the value and pop is for checking the value. Correct? Yeah. So push, I can simply write I am pushing values in ARR of 5. Correct? ARR 5 can be an array of integer, it can be array of character, right? So if I write integer, it will be integer array. If I write character, it will be character array. If I write float, it will be a float array. Right? So function name is same, but the argument type is different, or argument numbers are different. Let's say I'm using integer a, then I can simply write integer a comma integer b, and here I am just writing integer c. Right? So both are correct, right? If we call this function func and I'm passing 2 comma 3, so it will call the first one. If I use only func and I'm just passing 2, right? It will call the second one. But there is another, so this is clear, right? It will call second one and this first one will call this one. But if you remember, I told you, right? If I write integer d, then I will write is equals to 0. Now what it will do in this case, second one? Just forget about this.
Second program.
So I have this thing integer a and integer b in the first function, and second one I have integer c and integer d, where I'm passing equals to 0. And I'm calling this func is equals to 2. So which one it will call? This will call this one or this one? Sorry, not this. One second. Not
second.
Yeah, sorry. This one, func 2 comma 3. So which one it will call?
Second function it will call.
Second function. Why it will not call first one? See, I'm passing 2 comma 3. So it will pass 2 and 3. And this is correct. It will call, right? If I check 2 comma 3, this can be possible because by default, if we are not passing anything, it will take a 0 value, right? So this will also call. So this is ambiguity due compilation error. Correct? Now if I'm removing this thing here and I'm writing integer b is equals to 0. Correct? Now I'm commenting this one and I'm opening the second one. Now, will it work or it will give the compilation error?
Here also is a compilation error.
Correct. Because if we pass 2, then it will be 2 comma 0 because the default value, right? If you pass only 2, it will also execute, so it will give compilation error. So if we are getting the same number of arguments and there is no default value, right, in that case only it will say to function overloading will happen, correct? So if I just remove this equals to 0, that number of parameters are different, so definitely it will call only second one if you are choosing this, correct? So that is the reason for function overloading. You got the concept now? What is function overloading and how I'm getting errors and everything? Yeah. So if somebody saying you function overloading, then simply you can, I mean polymorphism, then simply you can say function overloading is a concept and polymorphism is many forms. Right. So this is a property of inheritance. So this will create, I mean, this will enhance the reusability. So when we are saying object-oriented benefits, so first one is reusability. Reusability. Then, right? One is reusability. Second one is easy maintenance. Right? And readable code. Correct? Fourth one is security. These are the basic advantages we have in object-oriented concept: reusability, easy maintenance, readable code, and security. Security you can tell by encapsulation. Polymorphism you can say reusability. Easy maintenance we have it because we are just everything we are dividing in methods, right? So that is much more readable concept, readable code, right? So now third one is inheritance. Any idea what is inheritance?
So inheritance is like nested structures. If we define something in the one class.
Don't tell according to classes and everything structure. Just forget about it, right? Just tell me simple inheritance definition. I mean, just little bit birth or something. So parent
child will acquire the
parents. Yeah. Correct, right? Just simple tell about biological terms inheritance first. Then we will go for C++. Okay.
Okay. The parent class will have the his own properties and same as the parent class.
Okay, let me explain inheritance. So that's a very simple concept, right? So see, your parents, right? So well, simply I can say parents' DNA are coming into children, right? So some inheritance or some properties are coming inside children, but they are not exactly dicto copy, right? So some DNA you're getting from your parents, some are different, right? So all the properties. So similarly, we have the concept of inheritance over here, right? So getting some properties from our parents and getting some of our own, right? Some properties you're getting from your parents that we call as we are inheriting some properties. Correct? So you are looking similar to your parents, but you are not exactly dicto copy. Correct. So 100% features are not same, but few features can be same or few habits can be same. Correct. So these things we said is we are inheriting from our parent. Correct. So the properties which are gaining from our parent or parent class. So now I'm telling about C++ concept. So let's say we are defining one class, right? So this we call a super class. Super class just like parents. Correct. Now we are defining child class, right? So child class will contain some properties which are common to super class. That may happen. Right? So it will not exactly dicto copy, but it will contain some portion of property. It can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, depends. Right? So I'm just giving you one example, right? So let's say we have one building, right? So building is nothing but a super class we are considering, right? Now when we are checking about any floor, so let's say I have one building and inside that building I have 4 floors, right? So every 4 floor we will consider as subclass or we can say child class. So every floor will contain the same property of building. It will contain the same building name. Correct. It will contain the same lift. I mean, same lift status. Right. So some features are common, but building how many? I mean, within floor, how many rooms we have? It can be different. Right. How many washrooms and other things we have? These are different. How many kitchen size? I mean, how many kitchens we have is different. Kitchen size is different. Right. Other facilities are different, but few features is common. Building name is same. Right. All the lift properties are same. Right. Maybe some construction areas are same. That means halls areas are same. It depends, right? It can be more than that or it can be similar, but it will not be the exact dicto copy. You cannot say the one floor is exactly equals to building. Correct? That's the property of inheritance. It is something, some features we are gaining from our parent.
Okay.
What the concept?
Yeah, got it.
Any confusion you can ask me. These 3 properties are important. So in interview they will ask these properties and they will ask you to explain. I mean, you can explain technically or you can explain like this also. It depends on you.
Okay.
So everything is correct. So you just know to,
Okay.
yeah. So they just want to get the concept, what is exactly mean by this one and how we are using it further.
Mm.
Because these concepts we will use
Okay.
further classes.
Correct. Yes.
Any confusion
More
you have here?
questions. No, no confusion.
Okay, cool. So I'm saving this file. C++ underscore D1. Okay, right? So, okay. So in C program, right, we have seen void main, right? And we are doing all the processing inside main function. And before that,
Hmm.
we were calling hash include stdio.h,
Yesterday. Hmm.
then hash include conio.h. So conio.h mainly we were using in simple programs for getch.
Let's switch. Hmm.
There might be other functions as well, but generally we are using for
Hmm.
getch in normal programs.
Let's switch.
stdio.h for
Hmm.
scanf and printf.
Hmm.
Correct? Scanf printf function.
Hmm.
I'm just
Correct.
saying for
Correct.
normal one, right? For other functions also we will use stdio.h and conio.h. Correct?
Okay.
Right. So this is
Hmm.
the simple structure of C. Now when we are talking about C++, right? So in that, just to make a difference, right? So what we are trying to do is, what they will do, they will use another file,
Stream. I was stream to touch.
iostream.h, right? iostream.h, correct? So that will call as input output
Hmm.
stream.h. Input
Stream. Hmm.
output stream header file. So what does mean by input output header stream header file? So in C++, right? So everything we have is a stream concept. You know river, right? So river is
Okay.
flowing in forward direction or backward direction. So if something we put, right? Let's say I have a
Hmm.
paper boat, right? I'm putting inside the river, right? So if it's going forward,
Okay.
then our boat will also go forward, right? If it's going backward,
Hmm.
our boat will also go in backward direction. So it's like a stream flow,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
So simply what we
Hmm.
will do, whatever value we have, we will just put in stream. It will go to output or input,
Okay.
correct? So generally we say
Hmm.
it console input stream, and console output stream. So when we are saying
Okay.
console, so console means our keyboard or our desktop,
Hmm. Okay.
correct?
Okay.
So when we are saying console output, that
Hmm.
means it's your desktop on which you are seeing the output. And when we are saying
Okay.
console input, that means whatever input you are giving from keyboard, right?
Keep.
So let's
Hmm.
say when I'm
Hmm.
executing one program, right? So you're getting enter some numbers, right? Enter number 1 or 2,
Hmm.
right? So you will enter 2 and 3 and you will hit enter, right? So it'll execute the program.
Okay.
Correct. At that
Okay.
time, when we are entering anything on our keyboard, that is nothing but console input stream. So whatever we are entering,
Okay.
right? So it will go inside a stream and it will go to your CPU. I mean, to go to your RAM and it will execute the processing. Correct. And whenever we are
Okay.
executing the program and
Hmm.
we are getting the output, right? So we are simply calculating the output in RAM and finally we are putting into output stream. So it will display in our on our desktop.
Extra. Hmm.
Correct. So this is the concept of
Hmm.
stream in C++, right? But
Okay.
in C++
Hmm.
also you can use stdio.h also if you want. Include
Okay.
stdio.h because you are not using printf, right? But you will use other functions as well, right? In
Hmm.
stdio.h we have defined around 50, 60 or 100 of functions, right? Even you are not
Hmm.
using printf and scanf, but you will use other functions as well, right? So actually
Hmm.
when we said C++, so it's actually concept of C is equals to C plus 1,
Hmm.
right? So we have
Hmm.
additional features, but you can use existing features of C also.
Okay.
Correct. So just for differentiation, we are using iostream.h in C++, right? So
Hmm.
that is much faster as compared to stdio.h. So you can say it's an advanced approach,
Hmm.
but you can use C features as well.
Okay.
Got the concept?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Right. So this is the thing. So when we are saying iostream.h input output stream header file, right? So I'm simply writing one program, right, in which I'm getting one input from screen and I will print the output
Okay.
by squaring it,
Okay.
right? Then say
Hmm.
hash include iostream.h. Fine. and again I will hash include conio.h because I will use getch.rn.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You can use as per your requirement, right? So I'm saying void main, correct? Then I will say here I want to print the message that enter any number, right? So before that, what I will do?
Okay. See out.
Yeah, I will
See
write
out in this.
integer a. I'm not using classes here, right? I'm just giving you example C out and C in example,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
Integer a, right? So here I'm saying C out. C out means console output, right? So I'm printing something on screen again in double quotes. Enter
Okay.
any number, right? And I'm using this. Here we are not using percentage %d or something. It will recognize it automatically, right?
Okay.
C out, enter any number, correct? Now what I
Okay.
do? Now I will say CIN. CI means console input. So it will get the input from screen and simply I will write A. That's it. So it will take the input.
Okay.
Right? Once I get the input, then what I will do? C out. Again I'm printing. Now I will say
A.
value of square root of A, right? Is equal to, what I will write here? A cross A. I will write get ch. Now how it will work? Any idea? So whenever I'm using C out and C in, right? So I should use istream.h. Otherwise it will not work. Correct? So C out means I'm entering on output screen, enter any number. And C in means it will get the input as A. So it will behave like scanf internally and it will behave like a printf. Correct? Now value of square root of, right? Value of square root of, I'm putting the value, right? Then is equals to A cross A.
Is A crossing.
Right? So let's say I'm entering 2. So it will print value of square root of 2 is equals to 4. Correct? So you understood the concept?
Yeah.
Right? So similarly, integer A, now I'm writing float of D and I'm using character ARR of 25. Right? So what should I do? Enter any number. Then I will say C out, enter any float value. Just simply I want a float value. That's it. Right? So simply I'm writing float value. Then I will say C in. Then we have the value D. So you'll enter the value D. Whatever operation you want, you can do here, right? Or you can print the value simply, right? So for string also will do the same job. C out, right? Enter any string. Then again, finally, we are getting the string input SCIN and STR. Now check here, it gets a, I mean, if I enter any space between two names, let's say Chetan Monga, right? So if I'm entering Chetan, then space, then Monga. So it's accepting it or not. Just create one test program and check it out. It's working or not. If it's not working, then use getters, right? That we are using in this one. So this is an assignment. Just check it out, right? It should be easy, right? Just create a test program and check it. Right? So you will understand what is the difference and how exactly we are working. If it's working fine or not, if we want to use the getters or not here. Okay. This is a simple program we have. So any confusion you have, you can ask. And also check if you need F-flush or not. Because we are, you can see, right? We are using all the three things. First we are printing integer, then float, then this one. Right? So just check if this thing is working or not. Right? Because now we are using stream and earlier concept was different. Correct? So you understood? Now just check it out if you need F-flush stdin or not, if it's working fine or not. If we need it or not, because when we are using different variables, when we are using string, right, it will accept the character value. It will accept your enter also, because enter is also an sky value. Correct? So just check it out. It's working fine or not. What is the issue? Right? So if you're facing any issue, it will work fine. Because that's the stream concept, and earlier concept was different. So just check it out. It's working or not. Right? So any confusion you have till now?
No confusion.
We are clear?
Yeah.
Not all clear, right?
No,
Okay, good.
hope so.
That's okay. So now again, I will tell you another concept. So you remember in C, global variables?
Mm.
Okay. So how we are declaring? Let's say this is our we are writing the code outside. So I'm writing integer a is
Mm.
equals to 10,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Now here in void main,
Mm.
I'm going inside this one, right? And inside this, I'm calling function func, and I'm right here,
Okay. Mm.
correct? Now I'm writing func,
Okay.
correct? Void func.
Mm.
Now, sorry, we don't have any parameters here. What I'm trying to do is I'm using cout and a, correct? So what value it will
Okay.
print?
Mm. Any
Any global variables we are assigning a is equals to
student?
10, then simply we are calling main function. Inside that main function, I'm calling func,
Mm.
and inside func, I'm printing a. So it will
Okay.
print garbage value, it will print equals to 10.
If yes, it will print 10.
Okay, correct, right? Because we are declaring it outside, whenever we are using it,
That
it will
was it.
print it in. Now let's say if I'm using integer a here. Now,
Mm. It will print garbage value then.
correct. Because it will first check the local variable.
So
If we don't found any
local
local
variable.
variable, then we'll go for this one. Right, so that is fine.
Mm.
Now let's say
Mm.
if I want to, instead of checking the local variable, right, whatever I've declared,
Mm.
I just want to get the value of global variable a is equals to 10.
Okay.
So what I can
Mm.
do, I need to override this local variable. Any idea what I can
Okay.
do here? So instead of checking
To
the
over.
local variable, I just want to get the value of
Mm.
global variable. So that is a simple concept we have.
Mm.
So there is one
Mm.
operator we call as scope resolution operator
Mm. Yeah,
you
correct.
can use, right?
Mm.
So if you use any variable,
Okay.
scope resolution operator, it will access global variable instead
Okay.
of local with same name.
Okay.
Got it? That's a trick we have.
Mm. Yeah, got it.
Because sometimes we not
Okay.
want the local variables value, sometimes we want the global variable value, right? So in that case, we are using a scope resolution operator. Correct? This is the tricky part.
Mm.
Got it?
Okay.
You can practice it, right?
Ah, yeah,
So,
got it.
yeah,
Mm.
right. And same thing, scope resolution operator, we will use further in classes also, right? So similarly, it will recognize the
Mm.
global variable, right? So similarly, what we
Okay.
can do, let's say I'm defining one class stack,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
So inside
Mm.
this stack, I have function public, and I'm writing some function. Let's say I'm writing void init, correct?
Okay.
So I'm defining this
Mm.
function, right?
Mm.
But what I will do is, right, so within this function I'm defining just header or prototype.
Okay.
That means what function definition it will have, prototype or function definition. I'm not
Mm.
implementing the function within class, correct? So it's not an inline
Okay.
function,
Mm.
right? So what I will do is I
Okay.
will just implement the function outside init,
Okay.
correct? And here I'm doing some processing,
Mm.
right? So when I am going
Mm.
inside main function void main, right, and I'm creating some object, so I'll say stack, right? I'm saying object
Okay.
one. I've created object one of class this one. Now when I'm saying
Okay.
obj1 dot init, will it work?
Mm. Mm. It will.
It will not work correctly because
It.
here we have defined only definition, but there is no body part. But body part we are defining outside, correct? So this is actually an individual function, individual
Okay.
identity, individual identity, right? So
Okay.
this we can call directly as well because this is public. Just like C, in C we are
Mm.
defining functions, so I can simply write init. This will call correctly
Okay.
because this is something we are doing in C language also, right? We are simply defining function and we are calling from main function, correct? Because this
Mm.
is
Mm.
not associated with class. So just this method to be
Okay.
associated with class, what we will do is we will write class name stack then I'm using scope resolution operator and find
Resolution.
writing function.
Okay.
Now this function will belong to this class,
This class. Okay.
right? So if you write init now, that
Mhm.
will give error because this function is
Okay.
not open, right? This function belongs to a class.
Mm.
This is not an independent function
Okay.
left, correct? Now it will
Mm.
do, it will give an error. Got the concept?
Yeah, understand. Okay.
Right? That is the concept we have.
Mm.
Generally, if we are
Okay.
implementing or defining any function within the class, right? So that we will call as inline function.
Mm.
As you remember, right? Inline functions we have
Okay.
just like macros,
Yeah.
right? If the
Yeah.
lines are too much, then it will automatically change it. It will not remain inline. If yeah,
Okay.
if inline function has around 10 to 15 lines or more than that, then it will not become inline directly.
Mm. Okay.
You got the concept?
Yeah, got it.
Any confusion you have here? No, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So global variables I have told you, right? And now we will go again back to istream.h. So that is the main concept, right?
Okay.
Right. So when I'm saying, okay, so hash include iostream.h. Right, so this is actually header file
Okay.
which we are using for C++ functions, correct? But if you check in Turbo C++, right, so this is a valid case, correct? We are writing .h file and
Mm.
everything, right? But when you're going for advanced compilers that we are using in companies, right? So what they will do, instead of writing this thing, they will simply use that hash include iostream.
Okay.
They're not using .h, so that we will call as header,
Okay.
right? So we're
Mm.
defining it a header, right? And when we're using advanced compiler, but normally for Turbo C++,
Mm.
so that is for training everything, right? So that will support .h file,
Okay.
correct?
Got it.
So here we
Okay.
are using .h, but when we are going for any advanced, any advanced editor, so that will use header, correct? So without .h,
Okay.
correct? And when we are writing header, then we should include this thing using namespace std,
Steady.
right? So when we are saying this thing, so namespace, when we are saying namespace is nothing just like a package, or we can say a folder,
No. Mm.
package or folder, right? So if you're
Mm.
going to any program, any computer, right? So if I'm opening this folder,
Mm.
correct? Here I'm opening this
Mm.
folder,
Okay.
right? So this is my mobile folder, right? I'm opening this thing. So this is divided in phone storage and SD storage, correct? So that means
Mm.
if I want to locate any file, then immediately I can classify it's in SD folder or phone storage folder, correct?
Mm.
Right? So
Correct.
just for classification, we are just dividing every files in folders. This is movies folder,
Folder.
this is
Okay.
pictures folder, this is gallery, this is download folder, this is
Okay.
Bluetooth folder, right? So every folder will
Mm.
have different
Okay.
identities, right? And every folder can contain same files or can contain different files as well. Let's say I'm in two folders,
Mm.
movies and pictures. So I can have same
Okay.
file, let's say chetan.jpg here and chetan.jpg in both folders also, right? So it will not
Okay.
impact anything because these are different folders.
Mm.
We have different packages,
Mm.
correct? So similarly, we are
Okay.
using namespace. Namespace nothing, but just like a folder or package we have.
Okay.
Correct. So simply we are defining namespace standard.
Mm.
So here using
Okay.
namespace standard, that means it's using a standard folder or standard package by default. If we want, we can define our
Okay.
own namespace also. But this is valid only in
Okay.
advanced editor, not in Turbo C++. If you write, it will give error.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. So by default, if we are not
Mm.
defining any package, then you should write this thing using namespace standard. That means standard whatever you are doing till now. Whatever we have done till now, right? It's in standard package only by default. So we are using only
Okay.
single. If you check, we are going inside bin folder, right? When we are going to see,
Mm-hmm.
then Turbo C++,
See.
then disk, then Turbo C3, and inside this, all whatever file we are doing and everything, it's written inside this bin folder. So this is our actually
Mm.
standard namespace as of now, in which all the programming and
Okay.
all the stuff we are doing. If we duplicate any file, it will give error because this is a single folder. But if we create another folder
Okay.
and utilize it, then we can repeat the file name.
Mm. Okay.
Correct? You got
Understood.
the concept now?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. So this is the part when we are using only advanced editor. Otherwise, this is okay. Correct?
Okay.
If we're using advanced editor, then we need to write this thing. or we can use any namespace that we have created. That is very easy. A syntax is there to create the namespace.
Okay.
Correct. So this is the difference.
Mm.
Now, when we are saying C out, correct, and I'm using this operator, correct, and I'm printing, let's say hello world, right? I'm printing it. So what it will do, it will go to the output stream and print the hello world console output stream.
Hello.
Right? That is nothing but our hello output screen, correct? Now, if you see, there's one operator, this one, right, for output, and this is for input, correct? If you go to in C, I mean, if you go in C language, right, then the meaning of these operators are different. I think we didn't complete. Yeah, it's actually when we are saying this thing, this is actually left shift operator. When we are working with bits, right? And we are saying this is actually right shift operator, right? Correct. So when we are dealing with bits, it will come into picture. Correct. So in C language, this means different. In C++, it means different. Correct.
Okay.
So actually, Turbo C++, it will recognize both this one as well as this one, right? But it will check what? It will check C out operator or scene operator if it's associated with it or not. If it's associated, then it will behave like this. Otherwise, it will behave like this.
Okay.
Got the concept now?
Yeah. Good.
Any confusion you have, you can ask me. Take your time and just check it out. If you have any confusion, you can ask. So this is very important concept before we start classes.
No confusion.
Sure.
Yes, sure.
It's okay. Yeah. So I think we are pretty good with the language. I mean, OOPS concept, properties, right? What are the basic things we have? What are the streams we have? What is C out? What is seen? What are the different printf and scanf? How we are using it? How we can use existing C functions, right? And what is the classes? So I'm starting with classes again, right?
Okay.
So classes are similar to structures as I've shown you, right? So in a structures by default, all the things are public, right? So we can directly access it from outside, right? But when we're talking about classes, so by default, everything is private.
Private.
Everything is private. So if you want to make anything as public, then you need to define it as within a public statement, right? I can add a simple example. Class test. Again, same structure we have. I mean, same syntax we have for structures. Now here by default, if I'm not saying anything, it will say integer a, then character 25. So both are private.
Private.
Correct. This one is also private. Private by default. This is private by default. Correct. Now if I want to write anything public, then I should write public. Sorry. Sorry. Public.
Okay.
Then I will say void init. Right. And here what I'm trying to do is I'm initializing the values. So I'm saying a is equals to 0. Correct. And simply if I want to initialize the value, then what I can do is I will take any variable ARR 0. Correct. And I will assign it to a null value. Simple. So what it will do, it will assign all the values to null. You remember?
Yeah.
Correct. I can do in this way. Right. So this function definition and implementation we are defined within class. So that is another thing but an inline function, whatever we define. Correct. Now I'm saying void print. Correct. So this we are defining inside method, right? Class, I mean class, right? So we don't need this thing. Scope resolution operator here. I don't have to tell compiler that this method belongs to a class because this is already inside a class, right? This we don't need. If we are defining the body outside the class, if we are defining any function body outside the class, then only we need a scope resolution operator with class name. That means this function will belong to this class. Because let's say in one program, I have 3 to 4 classes and I'm defining function outside. Let's say void int I'm defining. So compiler will get confused which this particular function belongs to a class or it's an individual function. right? Just for defining that this function belongs to particular this. Let's say ABCD have 4 classes. So let's say this function belongs to B class. Then I have to explicitly define by scope resolution operator and class name that this particular method belongs to this class.
Okay.
Correct. Now there's another concept, right? Let's say we have 4 classes A, B, C, D, right? And I have one function in it. So this function belongs to one class, and this function can also be there in second class also.
Okay.
Correct. So there is a concept of friend classes and friend methods that we'll discuss later. Right? So I'm just giving you an example. It can be possible scenario. Okay. So here I'm writing void print, and simply I'm writing cout, then A, right? And finally I'm writing cout, then let's say ARR I'm printing, right? Or within loop I'm doing this thing, right? You can do inside loop cout out, then ARR of I.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Or you can assign some value also before printing. Correct. So it will print by default 0 values, right? You can loop and you can print the values.
Okay.
Loop and print the values. Correct. So before that, you can assign this value also, void assign, and you can assign the values also if you want any. Correct. So how the class will behave? So these 3 methods, as these are defined after public, right? So all these 3 methods are public, right? So if I declare these functions, all these functions are public. Let's say I'm declaring integer C, integer D. So all these are public, which we defined after public statement, right? So let's say I just want these 3 to be public. One function, and again after that I want everything private. So in that case I need to define explicitly private here.
Private. Okay.
So till you encounter the next keyword of public, private, or protected, all the things will remain public or private, right? So here we didn't define anything before classes, so by default it's all everything is private, right? So till it encounters public, everything is private between these two. Correct. When start with private, till it encounters the next keyword, public, private, or protected, everything will be private. So now if I'm writing public, then I'm writing any other thing, then it will be public till we encounter the next keyword. Once we encounter the private keyword, then everything after this is private.
Private. Okay.
Understood the concept?
Yeah.
When I'm saying public, so what I will do is void main, right? And here I'm going this one. I'm creating one object, test obj1. So test is our class, and I'm defining one object obj1. Correct. So what I will do is obj1 dot. Now if I write dot c is equals to 10, so will it work? C is a private variable, right? So it will give error. It will give error, compilation error. But if I write obj1 dot, if I'm using any function in it, and that in it is public, so will it work?
Yeah, it will work.
Yeah, because this is a public, we can access directly.
Public.
Correct. And if you see inside the public methods, we are using private methods. Correct.
Okay.
So it's similar when we are going to any bank, we are asking for locker access, right? So we are directly contact admin person. Admin person is nothing but a public contact. So if we access the admin person, then admin person will help us to access the locker. Because admin person has access to get the locker access to us, right? We cannot directly access to locker. You got the concept? This is the concept we have in C++. So if you see, everything we have divided into functions. First one is initialization, second one is assigning the values, and third one is printing. So let's say in future you got any issue in printing. So directly you don't have to look at the whole code. Directly you can go to this print function and fix the issue. That is the advantage of object-oriented programming. So everything is defined in logical statements. So once you are going for maintenance project, and when you're going for maintenance or changes in future, then directly you can go to that portion and fix the issue.
Okay.
You understood my point?
Yeah.
Any confusion you have till now? You can ask anything, right? I mean, this is important portion. Because tomorrow we'll start with classes directly. Right? So basics should be very clear. You can ask any question, whatever you have. I mean, whatever you have in your mind or something is striking.
See, in the class, in void in it, we can use a private variables, right?
Void in, yeah, you can use.
Yeah, we can use.
Yeah.
So outside, if you
Outside?
If you're calling that in.
Init is actually public, correct?
Mhm.
So if I make
Yeah,
this,
correct.
okay, if I remove this public from here, okay, yeah, tell me.
If I'm defining this function outside the class,
Mm-hmm.
see the.
Yeah. So in that case, what you need to do is you will say simply test and you will add scope resolution operator.
Okay. Then I can use the private.
Yeah, you can also
variables
use,
in
you
this.
can use, you can, because this, okay. So when you're defining it, right? So here, let's say instead of body, you see, in this one also, what I'm trying to do is I'm defining the header, that what is exactly definition that I will call within this function, right? So this is actually definition
Okay.
that I'm using here. And implementation I'm doing outside, correct? But this definition I've defined
Outside,
within
yeah.
public keyword.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually we have public access, but we can define this body outside. But outside when we are defining, we just need to give the
Outside.
scope resolution operator and class, so that this function will belong to this
Okay.
class. But if you check the heading definition, it's inside public, right? So if you go for a void main function using object, so you will directly access this function. So there is no issue. You can define body within class or outside class, but the definition should be inside public keyword if you want to access it directly.
Okay. 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 So if we are defining outside that class, then we can use the private variables in that class.
Yeah, you can use. It's not an issue, right? Because definition we have given in public. So either you are defining the body inside or outside, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Got the concept?
Yeah, got it.
Any other confusion you have?
No confusion.
It's okay. It's okay. Fine. We have done this concept. We have shown you private, protected, and this one. We will discuss this further, right? Private, protected, and public when we are going for inheritance. So that concept will be very clear for you. But the basic concept is this one. Once we encounter any other keyword, so it will just change the visibility, right? So let's say first one is private, then we encounter the public. So between these, all the things are private. Then we encounter public. Then all the things after public are private till we encounter the next keyword.
Okay.
Got the concept?
Yeah, got it.
So this is C++. We have done basics, right? What we are trying to do. Okay, classes, we have it. Okay, simple class I'm defining over here. Right, so I'm just giving you an assignment. Right, so you know stack concept, right? Right, so same thing you need to do here, right? So what you will do is stack class stack, and here what you will do is you will assign two things: integer stack 25. Right now, or simply you can say five things are okay, otherwise looping will take much more time. Right, so in text 5, then I will say integer count, right? By default private, I will say public. Right, so I will add simply void in it, correct? So you just need to initialize the value stack and count equals to 0, correct? Then I will write void push, and here I'm using integer value, and I will say void pop. Right, so what it will do is, if we are saying void push, right, so I means index, which value I need to push, or sorry, value. It means value which I need to push, value which I need to push in array of stack. Correct. So what you will do is, when we are saying push, right, so in that case you will assign the value to the array index, right, and increase the index or count by 1. Correct. When we are saying pop, it will get the value and will print on screen, and it will increase the count by 1. So it's just like inserting the value and getting the value back. That's it. Push means inserting the value, and pop means we are getting the values. For pop, when we are getting the value, instead of saying void pop, you can say integer pop, because we are returning any value. So simply define one main function, void main, correct? And here you can create one object and you can say push and pop, correct? When you're saying pushing any value, so you can take the input from screen and push the value and take the limit of 5 of arrays, right? So 5 values we can maximum push. So once we encounter the maximum limit, we should throw an error.
Okay.
So error means simply you can write the message simply printf, and this is the error that limit is full. And once we encounter pop, right? So
Okay.
once we reach at 0 index, now you don't have further index to go because you are starting from 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, right? So once you reach the 0 index, or after that, you can simply write the message that we don't have any limit further. You should add the value, not decrease the value, right? So instead of getting the value, you should add the value.
Okay.
The simple program.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do it.
Any confusion in that? Voice is sounding like that.
I'll do this on the
Sorry.
once I did this program, then I'll have. If I have this, then I'll ask it.
Yeah. So that is easy program, right? That you will do. So you'll understand the concept, right? So just check it out. I mean, do some R&D. Just put public somewhere, private somewhere, and see what is the difference. Why we are getting this value? How we can initialize it? Can we access the private variable directly? How we are initializing the value? How we are using the value from main functions, right? These things you have to do R&D, right? So once you are comfortable with this, we will start the classes tomorrow.
Okay.
Any question you have till now, you can ask. You're free feel to ask, right? Any question you have? You're free to ask anything.
Okay.
Because this is actually main concept right now in C++. So once we start classes, right? So there are many concepts we will encounter one by one. This is very basic we have. Normally when we are going for any interview, right? So starting they will do with OOPS properties. What are the OOPS properties we have? Can explain it with examples. Right? Then they will ask for public, private, and protected. How we are doing this. If we are defining this keyword there, then what are the things we have in public section? What are the things we have in private? Right? This thing they will ask in starting. Then they will go inside and ask for operator overloading, function overloading, inheritance concepts. Right? Multiple inheritance allowed or not. Right? Then we will move to virtual functions. Right? Yeah. These are the concepts they may have in main. And they can ask for friend classes. How we're defining the friend classes, how the methods will behave as friendly within two classes. Generally, they will prefer these questions, and same thing will get repeated in Java also. For Java in multiple inheritance, they are using basically, there's another structure they were using. I will tell you. Interfaces we call that. So just for clearing the interview, I think you should focus on C and C++ more as compared to Java if you just want to clear the interview. Because if you have in-depth knowledge in one thing, then they will hire you very easily. Because every programming language is somewhat similar. So you're applying in the same electronic company? Hello? Hello? Oh, there's some issue.